Cagliari, Italy. Samuel began his career as a salesman back in 2010, and after earning a degree in toxicological chemistry and many masters in waste treatment, he combined his knowledge to define his mission to save the planet by helping 6,000 waste management companies to continue to thrive. After 9 years in the field and working in sales and marketing for international firms in waste management, he created M4W Marketing for Waste. Samuel, welcome to the pod.
Welcome, Raul.
This is going to be great. You know, when we start the podcast, we always ask very simple, light questions. So we'll start with your simple, light question. What's wrong with the motto of save the planet? What's your point of view on that?
Oh,
it's a big question,
yeah.
Huh?
It's a big question. Yeah, it is. Well, it's really interesting. Well, there are several wrong ideas around how to save the planet, because if you watch this period, and not only in this period, but starting from 2, 3 years, something like that, people continue to talk about the problems of plastics. People continue to talk about the problems of waste. People continue to talk about a lot of problems, but no one talk about solutions. And that's the common problem, because it's easier to talk about the problem, but not to talk about solutions. And for that, saving the planet nowadays means, for me and also for my team and for my agency, for my marketing agency, means to educate people about the value of waste. It's something that is not easy to perceive or not easy to think, because let me use this term, we are victims of consumerism, because consumerism is something that diffused itself starting from the 80s, 90s, and arrived nowadays that it's simple for every one of us to purchase a new thing every time that we broke one. And due to that, one of the most important things that's part of my mission is to educate people about the value, the real value of waste, because every time we throw away or we think to dispose of something, we are disposing of part of the natural resources that we used to produce thing. And one of the problems nowadays is that to save the planet, it's important to recover the largest part of these resources. That's something that no one talks about. And the best thing to do it, for me, is first line that is directly involved in that process. Let me say the waste companies, the small waste management companies that are all around the planet, and that every single day they deal, they collect. No.
Yeah, we don't think, because even it's in the title, it's waste. If it's behind us, we forget it. But that is actually what you're saying is the mechanism, the tool to actually support saving the planet. And you're going towards the companies that do the heavy lifting behind that. Tell me more about that. Tell me more about how that the waste and the waste management companies are connected to actually supporting what we all want, a greener planet, a supported planet, a thriving ecosystem.
Well, absolutely, yes, that's a good question. Consider that, Raul, that even several waste companies are not thinking yet about the importance of the materials that they collect. Due to that, they continue to dispose of these materials in landfills. That's one of the largest problems of our era, because it's something that if you said all around the world and something that is really impactful. But what is possible, what we are doing and what they can do is to start recovering these materials. And how they can do it is something, let me use the term simple to do, because it's simple to do it. Because understanding the value of waste, understanding what that an old smartphone, an old TV, an old laptop has inside grams of precious materials that is possible to recover for the production of new ones, new iPhones, it's something that is really important to do, and at the same time that produce benefit and advantages for the waste companies, because they change their business model from the waste collection and treatment to something that more connected with the sales of new materials. They move from waste to supply chain, something
Yeah, to be able
that,
to
yeah,
renew, right? Not just like the recycle piece, but actually it's the same old cycle, but it's a different approach to value and seeing the value of these materials
yeah,
versus just throwing them. That's pretty interesting. I mean, tell me about so that's the story, and that's like the connection of waste to renewable, renewing something new or using that and leveraging that. But tell me about your journey and your story because it's kind of interesting that you're in this industry, you've carved out a niche, and you started in sales, but then you have a chemistry degree
yeah.
and then also master's in waste treatment. So tell me about like the problems that you saw working in the industry and then why you decided to build the type of company you have now with a mission to save the planet.
Yeah, thank you for this question because it's really interesting. And the answer is simple because everything happened to me probably for was my fate. I don't know. Probably is fate. Probably is the destiny. I don't know. Something that happened because consider that I started studying mechanical engineering and I finished studying, taking a degree in toxicological chemistry. And when I finished the university, I was scared about the world because that was the initial idea. But when I started my journey in water treatment and working in other businesses, I saw a potential that was connected with scraps, leftovers, and waste produced from these companies. And I identified an important opportunity for all of us because talking with my grandmother at the time, she mentioned it several times the importance that waste had in her journey when she was a child, and talking about the first 20 years of the 90s. And well, it was something really interesting, and I decided to find a direction in that because I started selling and buying scraps and leftovers for several companies, and I created businesses for these companies, leveraging their scraps and their leftovers. The results obtained were incredible. So I created a new revenue streams for these companies. I added a part of business for them, and I continued to work being a marketing director and marketing supervisor for several of them. And in 2019, I decided to launch my company, my marketing agency, combining a degree in marketing that I took in 2018, if I remember,
Mm-hmm.
and leveraging it, creating a marketing agency that should be able to help all the waste companies to save the largest amount waste from landfills, first of all, and
Mm-hmm.
secondly, to save the largest amount of secondary raw materials from their destruction. Because unfortunately, what an interesting development that was published in several articles.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting development around the use and the idea to use the waste to energy plants to save the planet from the amount of waste.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that's something that is not a use a waste to energy system. You are destroying other you are destroying the materials and you are destroying and losing the opportunity to reuse these materials
Down the
in
chain,
other
right?
application. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
and due to that, as I said, in 2019, I decided to put all my strengths, all my energies on my marketing agency, and I found a new approach that is something that is now impacting very well on the market because I started to educate and to create marketing processes for the small waste companies that are usually like junk removals, like very small companies, family owned usually. And thanks to that, I started educating them about the importance and the advantages that they can obtain saving raw materials from landfills and from their destruction. Because I showed them the opportunity to sell these raw materials to recycling companies. And it was something really interesting because at the time when I started, people say that's something strange. No one will be interested in the purchasing of these materials. But at the end, my idea was good.
Mhm.
And this starting from this idea, we had revenue streams to our clients nowadays, and we continue to add the revenue streams that are connected with the type of waste that they collect. And combining this part with the part of marketing, because we are still implementing lead generation processes to using paid ads, and this part add predictability to the business. Thanks to that, we are able to create predictability also in the flux raw materials that we can offer to the recycling companies.
So do you do on the front end, so lead gen for the companies, but also on the back end to resell the materials? Is that
Yeah,
also that's the service? So it's a holistic approach, not just
yeah,
one-sided, right?
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And thanks to that, we are able to create long-term agreements with the recycling companies that are
That's a
interested
unique
to,
advantage.
yeah, to obtain a flux of raw materials, and that adds automatically a revenue stream to our client business, and at the same time generate a positive flux of raw materials that are saved from waste and used for the creation of new goods. And something that changed drastically the approach. And we started with the small companies in the junk removals and the family owned, because we offered them the advantage. It was easier for us to show them the advantage, because they have every single day they face fuel costs that is growing month after month.
Yeah,
And
so cutting costs, being able to do lead gen,
yeah,
predictability, but then also in the back end revenue streams. Like, so you
yeah,
saw it from the inside. That was actually one of the questions that I was going to ask you is like niching down versus your perspective on niching down. I feel like your niche isn't just like the solution, it's the unique competitive advantage that you give
yeah,
companies. And I think that's a really key takeaway because when I work with agency owners or business owners and they want to figure out like, should I niche down either as the solution? You can niche down based on here's my unique solution, here's the niche that it's going to solve, or you can niche down by category or industry that you're in. There's multiple ways to niche down, but I find this to be a niche of solution. Like this is a very unique approach
yeah,
where you're essentially at this point, a competitive advantage is the stickiness factor, the relationship with these companies, but then also the solution. It's hard to mimic that because it's also embedded with your business model. That's pretty
yeah,
fascinating.
yeah, yeah. We that that's our the competitive advantage that we offer. Something that is changing the industry, because especially nowadays, I don't want to talk about negative things, but negative things like inflation, and this is changing drastically the life for entrepreneurs, especially in the waste business. And for that,
Hmm.
sorry, we are giving them a new opportunity, a new vision of their business, and they are more than happy because they are seeing the results.
Yeah.
Because that's another great thing. Because in the meantime, I've created a very strong network of recycling companies all around the planet. First of all, they ask me every single day if there is the availability of several types of materials. They are interested to
It's like a
find.
network, it's like a marketplace that you built and a
Yeah,
connection on the back end. That's a pretty unique, interesting way as well, right? Like that's an even bigger fortress to compete with, right? To be able to create that
yeah,
network and that ecosystem. I'm curious, but to flip the conversation, like your key, what I've seen when you build online, our conversations and our initial convo, you're more interested in education for you to support these. So tell me a little bit about your approach in marketing and sales to educate more people. Like, is it the education of the masses? Is it the education of the waste industry? Is it the education of your clients, or is the education of the solution? Like, tell me more about your view on generosity marketing, which is essentially that, and
yeah.
why you're doing it. Besides the obvious, it drives business, but what's the intention of the thought behind why do we need that education?
Okay, let me start from the last part of the question.
Okay.
The goal for me is to contribute to leave my footprint in the world, educating people and saving the world from destruction, from something that something created the wrong way. That let me use this approach, this term,
Mhm.
because I'm born in 1982, and I lived the consumerism in my entire life, and part of it's probably still part of my life, and but I found a way to reduce this consumerism, saving the materials, and for that I decided to educate and to share educational content. What I'm doing is first of all educating the target audience, in that way, in that case, the waste companies and the waste company owner, because they are as I say, they are the first line, they are the first one involved in the process. But they are involved in the collection process. It
Okay.
means that we are also educating citizens, because that's part of the approach that we use in terms of marketing with our clients, because we work with them creating offline events where we share education about the value of every single piece of waste that a family produces. That means that we shared education about the plastic bottles, about paper, about cardboard, about glasses, about organic, about all the types of waste. Because one of the things that I found is that if we educate people about the real value of what they produce every single day at home,
Mhm.
they are able, first of all, to segregate the waste in the right way. Secondly, they are more than happy to contribute to a common cause. It is
Oh,
the
yeah.
idea to save the planet. And for that, we do the part of education through the masses story, using, or better, not using, leveraging our clients' voices, because they are the area, in a lot of cases, their presence is accepted from the community, and they are really impactful. And for that, we create content, we create the materials that they share during these events. And that is also part of our process.
Yeah.
At the same time, we educate clients, because we educate clients on what they have to do, what they have to say, and how they have to communicate this new approach.
Yeah, so to become like thought leaders or to become centers of
Yeah,
influence in their communities. But I was more curious, like, are you educating based on the clients? They don't know there's a specific strategy lying under their nose and they can't see that. Is that the key thing? It's not just on the growth, but like, here's what you can do to generate that into revenue. It's one of those key things, right? Like they're
yeah,
running the
yeah,
business, they're unaware of a solution, or are they also problem unaware? Are they unaware that they have a problem? Do you educate
yeah,
on both the problem and the solution?
yeah. We educate them both
Okay.
on problem and solution, because
Especially for the back
they
end revenue generation. Okay.
exactly, exactly. It impacts a lot because everything changes when you educate them about the problem and the solution. You combine both things, and the people, they are more than happy to support you, because you start from the problem, you move the pain,
Mhm.
and at the same time you give them a solution that is something, okay, but we can save thousands of materials, thousands of tons of material doing that. We want your participation.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. No, I love that approach, and I think the key takeaways for business owners listening right now is identifying the category, the industry that you're in, and then seeing the hidden problems within them. Right, 'cause you were in the inside and you saw these are different. You connected special dots and like, oh, this is a unique solution. Educating around the problem, because some business owners may not even know. Waste owners don't know that they have that problem. Educating about the problem, tying it to a unique solution, having that be your unique mechanism to provide solutions to the marketplace, and even creating a competitive advantage that way. And then just leveraging education, because it is all geared towards your true north, and that true north is, let's make the world, like, it sounds cliche, but like you can we can make our impact in creating and supporting a healthier planet. So that's pretty fascinating. I really appreciated you sharing that and kind of outlining your
Pleasure.
approach and in your journey. Tell me more about, like, what, to close off, what is the thing that's exciting you either most in the industry, any trends or changes, and or what's exciting you most in your business?
Well, let me answer. Talking about the industry, Well, I probably have a problem because I'm fascinated about chemistry, and everything can be transformed into something else.
Hmm.
And that's something that impacts in me a lot because I'm always involved in the research of new solution for every single type of waste that is available in the market. It means that we work nowadays supporting the research of solution for hazardous waste, talking about the several types of hazardous, even the biohazard waste. They are really interesting for us because in this moment there are a lot of opportunities connected with the biohazard waste, and the opportunity also to segregate them in a different way than the way that were used until yesterday. And
Mm.
that's something that for me is really interesting, and it fascinates me a lot because the research of new solution and being always involved in chemical tables where we talk about the solution that is possible to implement, the new system, the new technologies, the new everything.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, it's something that fascinates me a lot. And at the same time, in my business, what excites me in these days is the AI, because it's something that is changing the game,
Mhm.
changing the game. AI is changing the game, and it's also really interesting because we use AI, and it's something that we use also for our clients, and we educate our clients to use to increase the to increase their capability to communicate the advantages that
The
they are able
capacity,
to,
efficient.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's something that nowadays it's impacting a lot on our growth. It's impacting a lot on our customer growth, and it's also impacting on the diffusion of the message that our clients are sharing, because it helps them to maintain continued flux of communication with their clients, and they can also share the advantages connected with the processes that they are implementing, the advantages connected with the quantity of material saved, and all these things. And well, these are the two things that, for me, in this moment, something not only amazing, something incredible, and that are
Pretty
impacting
fun.
on
Yeah.
me. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, yes.
You can pretty much help enhance the whole industry.
Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
absolutely, yes.
Samuel, for our listeners out there, where's the best place for one to thank you for being on and two,
My pleasure.
learn more about what you're up to?
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you, listeners, and thanks. It was amazing. And well, dear listeners, you can find me on my LinkedIn, searching for Samuele Barrili, or on my website, www.marketingforwaste.com.
We'll put those links in the show notes. Samuel, thanks again.
Thank, thank you, Raul. Thank you, Raul.
If you found value in today's podcast, please consider sharing this with someone that you believe could also benefit from this episode. You never know, you may be the catalyst that opens them up to a new way of operating their business and experiencing life. As always, it's an honor to be a small part of your journey. This is Raul Hernandez. Do good work.